Good morning. I'm Taylor Combluzia, a mining analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. We would like to extend our thanks to Will DeBoer Delice for sponsoring the session. Our next presenter is Mike Davies, who's the CFO at GCM Mining Corp. GCM Mining is a mid-tier producer with its high-grade Segovia operations in Colombia, and it is also advancing the Toroparu project in Guyana. Mike, you'll have 15 minutes for the presentation, and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session afterwards. Please take it away.
Great, thanks Taylor, and thanks Red Cloud for hosting again and inviting us to share an update with you on GCM Mining. I'm going to first remind you, I will make some forward-looking statements, so I'll draw your attention to our disclaimer. So as Taylor mentioned, we are an emerging mid-tier Latin American gold producer. I think we've done a tremendous job over the last few years at modernizing and mechanizing our high-grade Segovia underground mining operations. They're one of the highest underground global gold operations, and certainly that's allowed us, along with the operational improvements, to generate some very strong profit margins. We have a low cost structure set of operations in Segovia. We've really been known in the last few years of being a strong free cash flow generator, and we've been using that free cash flow in our capital allocation, not only to inaugurate in 2020 our monthly dividend program, which currently has a yield of just over 3%. We've also been using that money to fund the repurchase of shares in recent months through our normal course issuer bid. As Taylor alluded to, we do now own the Toroparu project in Guyana, and we'll spend a little bit of time giving you an update on the recent PEA that we've put together for the project and how we're going to take that project forward. We have a very strong team that I think has demonstrated its ability to operate in Latin America, and an ESG strategy that is certainly giving us the social license to operate in Segovia and bodes well for us in terms of how we'll incorporate ESG into our Guyana operations. We changed our name last year from Gran Colombia Gold to GCM Mining, and this really reflects the company's shift in its strategy as it now enters the second decade of its life. The focus on growth through diversification. I think through our first 10 years, we were really known as the largest producer of gold and silver in Colombia, and we continue to be a leading high-grade gold producer in Colombia. But we've now shifted our focus to include diversification, not only in geography, by picking up 100% ownership in the Toroparu project to become our second cornerstone asset, but we're expanding our focus to include more than just gold in our production. We're now picking up copper production that's going to come through the development of the Toroparu project, as well as zinc and lead at Segovia with the new polymetallic plant that's currently in testing phase. What was really interesting about the Toroparu project last year is that the exploration that GoldX did in 2020 and 2021 showed the higher grade type of structures that our team is very familiar with on the Venezuelan side of the Guyana Shield. And so it made us very comfortable moving forward to not only pick up the other 80% of the project we didn't own, but now to move forward with a financing that's going to allow us to bring this project to life in 2 years and take us from 200,000 ounces a year of production to 400,000 ounces a year by 2024. We continue to own 44% of Aris Gold, and we're pleased to see the developments that Aris is making and moving forward the Marmato project and the expansion towards 200,000 ounces of gold production at Marmato, and the recent announcements regarding drilling at Juby. We're also very excited about our new investment last year, 27% position in Denarius Metals, the flagship operation within Denarius, the Lomero Pollados exploration project located in the Iberian Pyrite Belt of southern Spain, a very hot area these days, one of the largest concentrations of massive sulfides on the planet, and certainly the early drilling results coming out of Denarius from its drill program showing that every one of the holes that we've drilled there so far has hit massive sulfides, confirming the historic resource that has over $8 billion of metals in the ground. So we're very excited to be sitting on a cornerstone position in Denarius, and it's fully funded for the exploration program it's doing this year. And it's going to play out very nicely, I think, for shareholders of GCM Mining. Just a reminder on the team, it's been in place for a few years. We've definitely got the experience, the know-how, the know-who to operate in Latin America, and a key part of our strategy in Colombia. Certainly now making inroads in Guyana, making the connections in the country that are going to be valuable for us as we bring this project forward. Just a reminder on our capital structure, we've got a market cap right now over 550 million plus. 97.7 million shares outstanding and 132 million on a fully diluted basis. We did renew our normal course issuer bid last October, and through the last 4 months, we bought about 850,000 shares, average cost just over $5 a share, using that program to help to support the stock certainly on down days. And we now have a 300 million senior unsecured notes debt instrument in our capital structure. We're continuing to pay a monthly dividend. Current yields around 3.45%. We pay that on a monthly basis, one of the few companies that returns cash to its shareholders on a monthly basis. The next dividend is being paid next week, and then we'll announce the next dividend that'll come out mid-April to people of record at the end of March. So tremendous way for us to return value to shareholders while we're building this company. When we look at the analysts that are following the stock, I think the two key things to take away from this slide, all of them see re-rating potential in terms of the buy side of the stock and share price targets. The key catalysts that they've commented on largely have to do with the continuation of our exploration programs at their high-grade Segovia project and the execution of the construction plan at Toroparu to bring that into production by 2024. When we look at performance drivers, they're all charts that for me go all in the right direction. We've reported our production for 2021 for the full year, 206,000 ounces at Segovia. That's 4 years in a row now that we've produced over 200,000 ounces at Segovia, and our 6th consecutive year of meeting guidance. With the higher prices fueling our EBITDA growth, we're still trading at just over 2 times EBITDA. The AISC margins have been strong for us. We have seen some increase in 2020 and 2021 in our cash cost and our AISC, largely for 2 reasons. One is that we did make the step change in the rates that we pay the contract miner and the artisanal miners who work in our title, who hadn't seen a pay rate increase since 2017 when gold prices were much lower. So we made that change while maintaining our margins in light of the higher gold price environment. We've also put more money into our sustaining CapEx program, really covering 3 things. One is the ongoing exploration, but we've expanded our exploration at Segovia to increase the reserves and resources. Continue to do a lot of development to open up new areas, so we've got line of sight for production going forward. And the third thing we've been doing is we've been investing in areas in our infrastructure at the Segovia Operations, areas that we are remiss in having done a few years ago when gold prices were much lower, cash flow was tighter. And so we're taking this opportunity of strong margins to set ourselves up with renewed facilities for the next 10 years of our operating life in Segovia. Free cash flow continues to be generated by Segovia. And as I said, we're using that to pay dividends, reduce debt, and build our balance sheet. We have massive land positions in the Segovia area, the core of it being the title at the top, which is a 3,000 hectare piece of private property that we own in perpetuity and has been in operation for more than 100 years. And what we've done, I think, successfully in this company is we've built our social license to operate through our ESG programs right from the outset. As the slide says, ESG is in our DNA. Long before it became in vogue to start talking about ESG, that's something that this company was doing. We inaugurated an ESG committee of the board last year to provide oversight to the ESG processes. We hired a corporate ESG manager who's now focused on enhancing our ESG reporting at the investor level. That includes our inaugural ESG report last June that we filed and is available on our website. And we've got another version of that coming out mid-June of this year to give an update on our ESG programs. We tend to focus on health, education, environment, and community as the 4 key pillars of our ESG programs. and we're very pleased with the social license to operate that we've enjoyed over the years with the title. A couple of things to mention here as well. We were one of the first companies in Antioquia. We are one of the top 10 employers in the Antioquia region to start vaccinating our employees last year, purchasing vaccines to immunize our employees, their families, and the contract miners. And as I mentioned, the ESG report, which is available on our website. Our Maria Dama plant has got a capacity of about 1,500 tons a day. We are in the process of completing the expansion to 2,000 tons a day. Most of that will be done by the end of March. Some supply chain issues related to the crusher has delayed the completion of the expanded crushing facility till later in the second quarter. But all that being said, by mid-year, we'll have 2,000 tons a day of capacity this year at Segovia. We won't use all 2,000 tons a day in the beginning, probably somewhere between 1,800 tons a day. But we're setting ourselves up for growth in production as a result of the ongoing development and the brownfield exploration strategy that we've got going on. The other thing we've done this year, which we've had some recent announcement about, is we have set up a new polymetallic recovery plant. We completed construction on this new plant in Segovia at the end of the third quarter, started testing in the fourth quarter, and in January continued in test mode. Did about 100 tons a day of tailings at the project. We're generating about 80 tons a month of both lead concentrate and zinc concentrate. January's production was about 63,000 pounds of payable zinc and about 97,000 pounds of payable lead, and another 8,500 ounces of silver. We're still finalizing the sale contracts for these concentrates, but we do expect that this will bring in additional revenue and play very nicely in terms of a byproduct credit on our gold production this year. Our last resource for announcement was at the end of December last year. 1,000,004 ounces of measured indicated, 1,000,002 of inferred, of which 633,000 ounces was in the 2P reserve category. We've got an update coming up in March after another successful year of exploration. And the exploration this year is really focused on two key categories. The in-mine, near-mine drilling has been taking place at our producing operations, El Silencio, Providencia, and San Roque, and Carla. And we've inaugurated a brownfield program testing our high priority targets of veins in the title, which have historic production and current production coming from small scale miners. These are going to be the areas we expect to be producing from in the future as we open up and develop. Just a really quick overview. If you look at the highlighted intercepts that we've announced through the last 4 press releases we put out, covering the 2020 drilling up to 2021 drilling up to the end of October last year, you're seeing right across the board, right across the year, the significant intercepts all over 25 grams per ton on the in-mine program. And similarly, at Marmajito, Manzanillo, and La Guarida, which are on the western side of our title, also seeing some very high gold grade intercepts. At Vera, which sits on the eastern side of the title, same side that Guia Antigua, owned by Denarius, sits on, we're seeing super high grade silver, 3,500 grams per ton in the hole from last June, 432 grams per ton in the hole reported in December. So very optimistic about how this brownfield program is going to play out for us. And then lastly, turning to Toroparu before we get to the Q&A session. We completed the acquisition last year. We raised $300 million in a financing in August, so we're pre-funded for this project. We've also got $138 million coming from Wheaton on a pre-existing stream. The resource that we published at the end of November was a 15% improvement in gold content compared to the previous resource done by GoldX. But it's the first time that underground resources have been included in the project. As we look forward to how this is going to evolve for GCM Mining, we're currently wrapping up a PFS study that'll come out imminently. We've put out a PEA, which was published on February 4th, and we've got a 24-year mine life. We'll start with the 7,000 ton a day gold plant producing starting early 2024. We'll get into an extra 7,000 ton a day copper concentrator by year 6 or 2029 and start processing copper. We've got over 5.4 million recovered ounces over 24 years and 141 million pounds of copper to be recovered in this plan. With the $1,500 gold price and $3 copper price, that works out to be about 1.7 billion of free cash flow, 794 million of after-tax NPV at 5%. But I think most importantly for us, given we've taken on this $300 million debt, is it gives us payback of the project in 2 years, meaning we'll have ample funds for servicing our debt when it comes due in 2026. This is a really exciting project. We've already got pre-construction going on the project at this point. We've got work going on the campsite, the airstrip, the southern access road. The project team's in place. We're also continuing to drill on the project right now with respect to infill drilling for the PFS. So we've got a running start and we're still on track for production in 2024. So with that, I think, Taylor, we've reached the point where we can open up for some Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the great presentation, Mike. And just a reminder to everybody, you can submit your questions at any time using the event application. So the first question here, we have somebody wondering if Toroparu is fully funded to mine, or sorry, fully permitted to mine.
GoldX had negotiated a mining license with the government of Guyana. The final step being to deliver the technical report to get it completed. We've delivered the technical report in February when the PEA was published, but we've asked the government to incorporate underground mining in that final license approval. So we're going through that process with them now. We expect to be wrapped up in the next couple of months.
Perfect. Another question here. Do you view favorably Guyana as one of the better emerging jurisdictions?
Yeah, we're very, very comfortable with Guyana. Our senior team, including Serafino and Lombardo, have both been to Guyana on 5 or 6 trips already and have met each time with the senior government, including the president of Guyana. Guyana is very supportive of this type of huge mining project coming into the country for several reasons. One being wanting to diversify. They're very focused on oil, but they'd like other industries within the country to open up. This is also the kind of project that meets a need for them to want to open up investment in the interior of the country. So again, in not only settlements and towns, but road access, etc. So we meet a number of needs. Government's very supportive, and we think it's a good, safe jurisdiction for us to be in, which has access to labor as well from some of the other mining projects that are taking place in the country. Perfect.
Do you see, sorry, this one just popped up. Are you looking for an off-taker strategic partner to move projects to production?
Well, we've got an off-taker already with Wheaton on the GoldX project. They've got a stream already in place on that one. We're in the midst right now with finalizing a sale contract for the polymetallic plant in Segovia. We've got the copper concentrate that I mentioned, or sorry, zinc and lead concentrates. We're stockpiling them right now. The customers are testing in their facilities. We'll finalize pricing there. And I think longer term, we will look, Davies will look at how it will fund itself when it gets a little further through this exploration program and gets to the PEA stage. It's a little premature to look at how we'll fund, Davies longer term. But there's quite a bit of demand for concentrate. So we've seen some very positive feedback on people looking to get involved with us, certainly on this Segovia polymetallic plant.
Great. So we have about 30 seconds left. Just very quickly, do you see any roadblocks at Toroparu as of right now?
As of right now, no. So, and I guess the last thing to mention, just before we go, we've got updated drill results at Segovia for the last couple of last year coming out in a couple of weeks. We've got a reserve and resource update, and we'll have guidance coming at the end of March, which will include further confirmation of the key dates for things at Toroparu, but no surprises.
Perfect. And we are right out of time. So thank you very much, Mike, for
Great.
presenting.
Well, thanks, Taylor. I appreciate it.